Kristen, last year you teased this as being a love story between a satellite and a buoy, and when I read that, I thought, oh, she's being metaphorical, and you are not being metaphorical. And I love the film. I'm very curious, where does an idea like that, guys, come from?
You know, we thought about an idea of a buoy and satellite communicating, because they're kind of the farthest you can get from each other, and we thought it was funny. So we started digging into sci-fi and sentience and all this stuff, but it really wasn't until we decided it was a love story that it came into focus.
And we sort of, instead of making the desires of the characters conceptual, when we decided, as Sam said, to make it a love story and make all of their desires emotional, it sort of became a bit easier to write and easier to understand for us. So when like sentience became loneliness, or when consciousness became wanting to love and be loved, all of a sudden it was a story worth telling for us.
Yeah, and that's what we did on set. We always tried to bring it back down to just our own personal experiences and relationships and life. And
our piddly little human terms.
It's a love story, but it's also a love story between like a lot of different characters. The more I thought about it, it's like there's the robot you, and then there's the evolved you, and the social media. There's Deja, and so just maybe a question for the actors: is there something liberating about doing vocal work and playing so much animation and sort of being free of your face?
We actually shot a lot of the vocal work live. We were in mocap, so we experienced that experience. I think a lot of the vocal stuff, independent of that, was mostly the first quarter. Yeah. It was cool. It was just cool. I don't know another way to describe it, you know?
I was wondering about that. Is it rotoscoping? So it's performance capture? Or
it's
what?
motion capture. So they were wearing these like black onesies, these little tight spandex onesies with like headbands, and then we acted out. They acted out the whole scene, like everything, just like we were shooting a play or a movie or whatever. And then we took.
I mean, they did full coverage of it. Yeah. It's not like they just did it to give us the feeling. Yeah. It was to give the animators their choices.
Interesting.
Like, so they made, like, you know, usually when you do animation, the animation is the choices of the animator because they're the ones acting it out. But with this technology, we're able to like capture Kristen and Steven's choices and turn that into an animation, which was, I mean, I think it's just a leap forward for like the art in general to be able to do that.
And it didn't take exponentially more time than other shoots.
Yeah.
Well, shooting the stuff on set went fairly quickly. It was all spontaneous. It was all, you know, done in under a week for the animated stuff. But then to get the animators we worked with to be able to interpret and give life to the performances that Steven and Kristen had just innately and spontaneously on set, that took a lot of time.
Yeah, because
and there's
they
a lot
were
of
so
nuance.
good, and we were so in love with their performances that if we saw anything that the animators did that wasn't what they had done so beautifully, we had to learn how to, you know, push it forward to a better place, to where they had put it.
The film is kind of about an existential crisis at the end of the world, but it's weirdly relatable. I found myself really connecting with it, and connecting because it was kind of like, how do we define ourselves, and where does love come from, and how does social media play into that? So just a question to you guys about social media, which figures prominently in the film. How much distance do you keep from it?
We're very far away from, I feel like...
I like it.
Do you peruse?
Yeah, like I'll look up like good recipes or like pretty places.
Knowledge sharing is fun.
Yeah, but socially I like to like, you know, text people or call them or hang out with them.
And earthquake Twitter, just in case.
Yeah. Earthquake Twitter for sure.
Your film suggests that social media is going to survive us all, and data banks, and I think that your film also goes really deep into the idea of love. Is love something that, I mean, this sounds like a therapist question, but is love something that kind of comes from knowing not just another person, but knowing yourself? It's a quest for self-identity, the film, in a way.
I mean, when we were writing this, the creative compass point for everything was that this one AI was having an identity crisis, you could say, but she couldn't fully become sentient or become complete without one, you know, loving somebody else and loving herself.
And the way that they kind of lean back on some of the things like date night and whatever is it's interesting because we do model our personas to some degree on what we see. Curious though, just as a fun random question, is there a movie you guys do on date night? Is there something that you like to watch?
Depends on what you want to do, right? Like, I really love horror movies, and the first time I watched a horror movie with Dylan, she was like, "Oh, I like jump around a lot. I like scream." Like, "Oh, fun! That'll be, you're a great audience for this then." But she was like bucking like a bronco, and I was like, "We can't watch this movie, dude. You can't." She's like, yeah, The Strangers. That was the movie. It's terrifying.
Office Space.
Oh wow, that's good.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's like a.
I watched that on a date with my wife.
Right. Right. It's a quiet date.
We do like old movies.
We do old movies,
We do
but I think
halves of old movies.
just
and then we like
watched-
drift. We have a little one, so we drift off.
Yeah, we
first.
drift
And
off
we're a
lot,
million years
but
old.
we just
so.
watched Bottoms. And that
Oh
is
my
an
God!
awesome date night
Just
movie.
bravo!
Laugh out loud.
Oh my God!
Bottoms and Theater Camp are my two actual favorite movies of the year.
I want to ask you guys this one more question about Love Me, because I do think that people are coming into it and sort of not knowing what to expect, and I love that about it. It kind of throws you off guard and puts you in a very vulnerable place, which I was very moved by. Is it the kind of movie that you think could sustain more of them? Is it the kind of movie that gets a sequel? I want to know more about Deja. I want to know about these robots.
She's like, no.
She's like, no way.
Existential crisis begins.
Exactly.
I will say that the one amazing part about working on this movie is that we're at a place where we have so many different types of medium that we can play around with, and from the motion caption suits that they were in to just the found footage on YouTube, putting together movies in different ways with different shapes and different forms and mediums, I think is something that we can mine deeper in cinema. I hope so. And I don't know, I think there's a lot more space for movies like that in the future.
The collage aspect of the movie is so stunning. There would be no way to make this movie without stealing, that's all we do really, but like in a literal way. It's the first time we actually had seen it fully finished, me and Steven.
Yeah, they've seen iterations.
It could have been so bad. It just could have been so trite and well, I guess embarrassing for sure, but also just more like, if you did this in a way that was thin and sort of, I don't know, social media. I know that the movie does deal with social media like very explicitly, but also it has nothing to do with it at all.
100%.
It's literally just this like human fingerprint, and then how that morphs into technology.
And it's a really sophisticated take on AI, which we need right now. We need smart ideas about this, otherwise it's going to own us. Do you guys have thoughts about AI?
We're very nice to our AI.
We're so kind.
We say thank you to
Thank
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It's just like, we're on its good side. Or her good side.
But we okay.
I mean, these are all these are all mirrors for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Even AI, as abstracted as that feels like, I'm like, that's me. I'm going through that. It must suck to wake up out of nowhere right now from like ones and zeros to be like beep, 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 boop. And then all of a sudden you're like, what the f is happening? It's insane, That's crazy.
It was really cool to have AI as a tool in this movie to kind of look at ourselves without judgment.
Yeah, because we do say that it's more of a movie about us than it is about AI, and we're just using AI as sort of the lens to look at, who we are right now in a way that hopefully isn't judgmental or something. It's sort of like it gave us an opportunity as artists to look at the internet now and humanity right now without, I guess, all of the baggage that we normally bring to it.
With love and compassion.